Face the event. From brand ambassadors and event staffers to magicians and presenters, it's the one and only podcast to introduce the faces in and around the trade show and events industry. And here's our host, Scott Tokar.
Welcome to episode number 8 of Face the Event. My name is Scott Tokar. I am your magical MC. I am your ringleader for everything. It is brand ambassador and trade show host and hostess. If you're looking at getting in this business of host and hostessing and badge scanning and crowd gathering and brand ambassadoring, this is the podcast for you. We can't wait to share with you the information of how to make a living, make a little extra side cash if that's your gig, to make sure that you understand everything that's going on in the world of brand ambassadors and trade show staffers. Hey, listen, today we have a really great interview with Sasha Higgins. She's going to tell us how she got started as a brand ambassador in the trade show world and how she's worked with companies like Dell and Toyota and Microsoft and Automation Anywhere. I can't wait for you to hear some of the tips and tricks that she's got. And always we start off our podcast with a kind of a tip, kind of a single subject. And today, this is very, very useful. This is real world in the trenches kind of world stuff about how to selectively read trade show badges so that you're stopping the right people and increasing your numbers. So here we go. Trade show badges.
Okay, badge scanning and badge IDing. You're going to want to work with your client to figure out exactly who to scan.
Make sure you're checking in with the client to find out what the objectives are for the show and what their objectives are for you.
Every trade show, the first thing that every trade show person learns is what specific kind of a trade show badge are we looking for?
Well, they're usually color-coded.
So in order to increase your scanning and reach your numbers, you have to remember, especially when it comes to badges, that the badges are color coordinated.
Certain badges will designate people as being either exhibitors or sponsors or partners or decision makers or high up on the food chain, and you definitely want to pick those little gazelles off if so. So you want to learn what the badge coding is, especially in the large shows, so that you can target those people that are coming down the aisle to be the first ones in your booth.
Most industries, they will be color-coded. They'll tell you who the CEO is, the C-level attendees are. They'll tell you who the VPs are. They'll tell you which part of the industry division they're working in.
Because some shows have they have the press identified with a certain color, and your client may not want you to talk to the press, or they may have the particular customer that it says executive, or a particular customer that they want you to look out for, and it will say that on their ID badges.
Typically, they're always color-coded, so you know, I really want to spend time with the red badges, or I want to spend time with the green badges.
Do people love to think that you're talking to them personally? So it is really one of the oldest tricks in the book to learn to read ID badges, and if you're giving some product information, throw in a Roger, this product can do this, this, and this for you. And that he will be your biggest fan from then on because you recognized him personally.
Anytime I see groups of folks with the same colors that I'm looking for, I'm targeting them. Those are the ones I'm hanging out with, I'm talking to, I'm acting like we're best of friends and having a great time. Whenever I see someone with the color badge I don't need, I'm jetting in the other direction because I don't have time. It's all about your time, your efficiency, and making those numbers.
A lot of clients don't want you scanning other exhibitors because that's not their target market.
But basically for trade shows, I focus on the color badge. That's my target audience.
And that way you can quickly identify, okay, is this the customer that my client wants to participate in demos, or is this someone I need to move over to someone else, or I can just politely, conversate with them and let them move on.
Because of the badges and because they identify people sometimes as sales or buyers or distributors, etc., check in with your client.
And then the other thing I do too is I always try to wear my personal badge. I try to wear it up high so that people don't have to look down to see your name. It just, because a lot of times you'll see people who they know you but they can't remember your name. And you can see it in their eyes. They really want to look down, but they don't want to because they don't want to embarrass themselves by saying that they don't remember your name.
I had to, again, get over any vanity on my part. As far as my vision goes, I still have perfectly good distance vision, but as I got older, my reading got bad. I couldn't read anymore without reading glasses, right? And I found that I couldn't read those name badges anymore. So I broke down and got a prescription where I have lineless bifocals, where there really isn't any correction on the top because I don't need it for distance, but the corrections at the bottom part of the glasses. So I would wear those doing my presentations for the specific reason that I could then read those name badges.
And if their ID badge is so small, you can't really see the color or you can't really see what it says, because a lot of times that is the case. Make sure you have your contacts, make sure you have your glasses if you need them, or if you can't even see it at that point, because sometimes I can't, and I will say, I'm sorry, what's your name again? And kind of look for their ID badge, so they'll flip it over or they'll bring it up closer to you.
And then sometimes you'll have a client that just says, scan everybody, we just need the numbers.
We want to thank Alexis Baize, Philip Victor, Sasha Higgins, Jenifer Canale, Robin Bell, Channon Dade, and Larry Wyatt for their insight on trade show badges. Our interview today on Face the Event is with an individual that started in the BA and Tradeshow world about 11 years ago. This individual is going to share with us the secrets that she wished she had known when she first started 11 years ago. She's going to talk to us about working with agents and for companies like Microsoft and Automation Anywhere, Toyota, Dell, and she's going to give us the secret of how to find an agent. She's going to talk to us about badge scanning goals and how to get visitors to stop. She's going to give me the WIIFM, what's in it for me, and how to use that as a bribe to get people to sit for a longer presentation. She's going to talk to us about diversity in the events industry and how things may have changed for people of color today and how to increase the opportunities just by being who you are. She's going to tell me what a corporate storyteller is and how much you can expect to get paid when you work in the trade show world. She's going to talk to us about being an independent contractor in the all-important world of the 1099 and your taxes, what you can write off, and what you can call a business expense to reduce that tax liability. And then Sasha turns the tables on me, and she ends up asking me some questions about being a trade show magician and how I got started. Well, without any further ado, here's our friend, Sasha Higgins. All right. Well, hello, Sasha. How are you?
I'm great, Scott. How are you?
Great. Welcome to Face the Event. I appreciate your coming and chatting with us. Tell me about yourself. How long have you been in the brand ambassador trade show world?
Oh, wow. Well, first, thank you so very much for all you're doing. It is truly admirable. And thank you for taking the time to even seek me out to, allow me the opportunity. I've actually been in the industry for about 16 years. I've done PR, sales and marketing, and a little bit of trade shows. But my trade show experience previously were smaller trade shows for weddings, photographers. I have a boutique company that specializes in web design, trade show execution, and social media aggregation. And it wasn't until I connected with a really great mentor of mine, two of them actually, Patty Gunn, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and Becky Joe with CE Talent, that I got into the bigger boys, the Microsofts and the Dells and Automation Anywhere, those big wigs. So That's been a couple years now.
So what are your duties? What is it that you do when you're out on an activation? What is are you a crowd gatherer? Do you do badge scanning? What kind of stuff do you do?
I've done. I think it runs the gamut. So I've done a lot of crowd gathering. I also am. I do presenting as well on the mic crowd gathering, which is different from normal crowd gathering. Scanning. I've ran lead. I've supervised, and so I've done quite a bit in a small amount of time.
So do you travel with this, or is it something that you do mostly local type shows or gigs?
Yeah, I think I've only done Microsoft locally, but everything else I've traveled. And so
where's local for you, by the way?
Orlando.
Love Orlando.
Yeah, we love Orlando. We love Orlando.
I typically in a normal trade show calendar, I'm there like once or twice a month. So I kind of know Orlando like the back of my hand. I have my haunts, and I know where the best chicken wings are for sure. So
we have to talk offline about that for sure.
All right, we'll do that.
Yeah. So, I haven't. Orlando has been a market that I'm excited to saturate eventually. But, it's folks like you guys, the seasoned ones who are really professional and really amazing and have, made a name for yourselves. You guys get the territories you want. So folks like myself, we're kind of newbies in the industry. We have to travel out. So I've done shows in New York, in Vegas, in DC, in Dallas, in Atlanta. I mean, everywhere, really. Chicago.
So when you say seasoned, how long have you been doing this?
So with the big shows, like the ones that you do typically,
right.
It's only been a couple of years.
Oh, okay, a couple of years then.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you've learned over the couple of years? Is there stuff that you wish you could tell yourself a couple of years ago? Hey, this is what you need to know.
Yes. I think. As you embark on this particular industry, first and foremost, a lot of people don't even know that it exists, and to the magnitude that it does. Like, there's so many people that are self-sufficient, that are their own personal brands, and that people ask for and look for, and you can actually be your own business person in the industry. And I think that's what I would have told myself maybe a couple years ago, but I'm kind of an aggressive person who goes after everything in life anyway. So I take my time to learn, and I launch. So I think it's a good timeline for me, but for anyone else coming in, I just want them to know that, you have the opportunity to really make a name for yourself in this industry, do a really phenomenal job, work with amazing people, and you can kind of be your own entrepreneur and take care of your family.
And you can make a living doing this, can't you?
Absolutely.
And
a really decent.
There are many people that get into this industry, into either on the brand ambassador side, on the crowd gathering, trade show side, and they think, oh, this is just like a layover kind of thing. I'm going to do it while I'm in college, or I'm going to do it while I'm young. And there are people, if you've been listening to our show, there are people that have been in this industry for 20, 30 years, and this is the career. So, yeah, absolutely. Now, you work a lot for agencies, don't you?
Actually, I've only worked for CE and myself with small booked boutique, companies, mom and pops, and such and so forth.
Right. So if you wanted to know about CE talent, we just had Becky Jo Schwartz on the show, and she told us a little bit about that. In fact, that's how we met, was through Becky Jo Schwartz. And so you say you have worked for some of the big boys now. You've worked for, like you said, Dell and Microsoft.
And Dell and there's so many of them. Automation Anywhere was another one.
What is the typical Motorola, size booth that you're working for there?
Toyota, different ones like that that I've done.
What's a typical size booth that you're working in that situation?
Well, I can tell you regarding like our goals. So for our group, typically our goals are about, to hit anywhere from 12 to 15,000 people.
Scans. 12 to 15,000 over what, a 3-day period?
Over, roughly a 3-day period.
500 scans a day is that your personal goal, or is that the whole booth goal?
That's usually the team. Yeah,
right.
That's usually the team. But and over a period of time, you yourself, you'll hit anywhere between 5 to 1,000 or more within a 3-day period. So
let's try to explain to the listeners that aren't really totally familiar with what we're saying here, is that at a lot of trade shows, what you're after is a quantifiable measurement. You're after something that you can show to the boss that, hey, we're doing our job. And in many cases, that's scans of the badge. And on the badges themselves, they'll have a barcode or an RFID or something like that, where we can actually gather the information. It goes into a device, and then they can send them like a email follow-up or something afterwards.
Exactly. And it allows, the companies that work for, per se, Dell Technologies or something, to show that they have actually done a good job at bringing them potential new business that could generate leads for them or opportunities.
Right. So, but to be honest with you, the real secret here is to get those numbers up high and make sure that you have those quantifiable numbers. How do you go about scanning someone? Is there a certain way that I should like stop someone and go, hey, I just need to scan your badge, or how do you do that?
You know what? It's all about the creativity. So there's so many different things that you can do, so many different ways. One of my favorites is, just making sure like to connect with someone, like, hey, how are you doing? How's the show going? And start the banter and kind of let them know who we are and what we're doing. And especially a lot of times we'll have demonstrations, and demonstrations are when you'll take about 15 minutes or so to sit down and watch a presentation or hear something about the product that's, being presented at the time. And people love the WIIFMs, the what's in it for me's. So those are the little goodies and the takeaways. And so when sometimes we walk around with our takeaways, we put them on our ears and our hands and our, our necks, like jewelry, whether they're really great, charger cords or really great,
So you're bribing them to get the badge scanned.
We 100% bribe.
And I like the term WIIFM.
Yeah, the what's in it for me.
Exactly. I'll tell you what, that's the best term for you to know right there. That's your homework takeaway from Face the Event this week is WIIFM.
All good.
Yes. So you know what I find is one of the most effective trade show giveaways is T-shirts.
Oh my gosh, especially if they're really soft.
Everybody wants a T-shirt. When you go on vacation, all your friends say, "Oh, send me a postcard from Hawaii." But when you go to a trade show, people go, "Bring me a T-shirt."
T-shirt or socks. Socks are really good too.
Oh, really?
Have you got?
People are all over. I've been in this industry so long. I have underwear with companies' names on it.
What?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's a great giveaway. I have some boxer shorts. Now, boxer shorts are nice because ladies could wear them as jammies, or guys could wear them as jammies or as actual boxer shorts. And then we would say, "Here, take these because we beat the pants off the competition."
Oh man.
Yeah.
They're done. Yeah, they're done.
You've definitely got a scan of their badge. They're going to sit in for a theater presentation, no problem, for some underwear.
100%. That is so cool.
So now you say you've worked some of the boutique shows as well as worked the larger ones for agents. Do they pay about the same, like a boutique show or working for an agent, or do you make more when you're kind of working by yourself?
You have the opportunity to make more when you're working by yourself, for sure. But the thing is, now herein lies the caveat, Scott. If you're working for a smaller boutique brand, you're not making as much price point wise because of the budget that they have. It's a smaller budget. If I'm looking at a photography company compared to that of Microsoft, their budget far supersedes what they're going to be able to offer, and the team that you're going to be able to acquire as well. But when you work for yourself and you have a relationship like someone like yourself who has a name ID and a presence, you can go and you can negotiate deals, and you cut out,
Well, I think also that with experience, once you can say, "Hey, I've worked for these companies," there's an expectation that comes from that experience. Like I would expect that if I were to hire you to work with me as a crowd gatherer, I would expect you to hit those numbers we just talked about, 1,000 scans or something like that. When you're brand new or you're working for one of these smaller companies, it's understandable you're not going to hit those numbers either.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think it's healthy, and I think it's smart for you to go under the tutelage of a company that's a little bit more seasoned. First and foremost, it gets your foot in the door. If it was not for companies like CE Talent, I would never have been in front of the folks that I was able to be in front of. And the other thing is respect the people that you work with. And so I respect the companies I work with and everything that the relationships we've built. And so I would not target a client from the company that I work with. There's enough stuff out there. You know, you can go after, and you can contact other companies, and you can reach out to so many other people. So I think, you know, take the opportunity to learn and spend time under, you know, a company, especially if you're brand new. You need to be able to develop that professionality and the decorum and the understanding of how to be a expert trade show presenter, but also respect the folks that got you there. You know, and remember that. Right.
So, you know, when you're out working for yourself, it makes sense to hand out your own business card, or get the information from someone that might be looking for someone like you. But when you're working for an agency, you really do need to push the business back to the agency.
Yeah, that's all I do.
Yeah,
that's all I do. Yeah.
So, you know, please keep that in mind if you're looking at getting into this business. Your agencies are as probably a bigger potential client to you than a one-off that someone's looking to hire you for. So you don't want to cut your nose off to spite your face, is the old term. You don't want to get rid of the agents and get them mad at you.
Oh my gosh, terrible.
Yeah. So how did you find an agent and kind of get under the wing of the tutelage of CE Talent?
You know what? My story is very, very unique. So I don't think that I can relate to a lot of other people. I think the normal way would be, you know, maybe going through Facebook groups and looking into brand ambassadors and looking up websites and applying online. But I have a really quirky story. So Patty Gunn and I connected over a bed.
Over what?
A bed, Scott, a bed.
Okay, all right. All of a sudden, this became a Hollywood Tonight. What happened here?
It became a whole deal. No, so my son, he was a little bigger, and he had a bed that was like with a slide. And Patty had downsized and did like a ton of things. Her parents were going, they're missionaries overseas, and she was doing a lot of stuff with them. And so she was looking for a really cool bed with a slide. And we connected. She literally came to my door. We were having a conversation, and I asked her what she did. And she said, I'm a professional presenter. I do speaking engagements all over the world and everything else. And I said, oh my gosh, you are living my dream. This is like all that I feel like I'm meant to be and to do. Wow. So in a span of a couple minutes, we started talking. Our husbands met a few hours later, and we've been together ever since. And that's kind of what got me into the industry and moved me from my boutique shows where I was working for smaller companies to the bigger opportunities like you go to with the 60,000 attendees.
Well, you know what? If you're listening in right now, there's something I'm going to point out about Sasha. She's a go-getter. She is an outgoing kind of person. We've said this week after week. This business, it takes all types of people, but it's that outgoing, get 'em. Type A type of personality, I think, that really does the best, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you grab the bull by the horns, man.
Yeah. Well, how are you supposed to interrupt someone and say, would you like some free underwear? Unless you're really a good, type A.
There we go. We were breaking up a little tiny bit. What'd you say, Scott?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said it's hard to not be a type A and tell a total stranger that you're going to give them underwear for free.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You know, those people are the ones that are no holds bar, you know.
Yeah.
We have
and that's really what it takes. Now, Sasha, if you're watching us on YouTube, then it's quite obvious that you're a person of color. If you're listening to us, I wouldn't tell anything.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Right now, we are at a point in history where, we're hyper aware of people of color and making sure that there's equal opportunities and this kind of thing. How has that affected your world as a trade show person?
You know, that's a really, really great question, Scott. That you're unfortunately, we still live in a time where your color plays a part. And we have, and just like I know, the trade show industry has been heavily dominated by, the other side of my palm for a very long time. And so a lot of times when people meet other folks that are a little bit more diversified or, culturally distinctive, they are sometimes some folks, depending on the countries you're from, depending on your nationalities, they, might not be as warm and accepting. But overall, really, truthfully, that's about 5% of the industry, I'd say. Now, regarding opportunities, I don't really, I think if you get your foot in the door and you're good at what you do, your name will be in rooms that you have not even walked into. And so I don't see color as a hindrance per se, but I know that there are people out there that try to hold you down because of who they think you are or what they think the perceived trade show person should or should not look like.
Now,
but
if you listened to our discussion last week with Becky Jo Schwartz of CE Talent, we were discussing the fact that you should not try to hide who you really are, and you should absolutely try to show photographs of who you really are, because there are customers out there looking for 50-year-old plus size models. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's actually an asset. But I think, especially today, every corporation out there, especially at trade shows, is really hyper concerned about diversity.
We broke up a little bit. Okay, go ahead.
No, everyone's concerned about diversity. So if you, boy, oh boy, I actually think that you might have, as we progress here, potentially better marketability than ever before, because we want that diversity. Would you? Yes.
At this moment in time, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Historically, you have seen a lot of, we need a 18 to, 30-year-old, 25-year-old, blonde, slim build. That was very, very traditional. I mean, men weren't even in the industry, especially being like crowd gatherers and scanners. I mean, that wasn't really even a huge audience for them for a while. But now, with the way that the world is moving and the way that we're going, I really do see that there's a great niche for the people of color, for folks that might not have been the traditional trade show look.
Yeah, it's funny. We used to, keep in mind, I did my first trade show my senior year of high school. So I've been doing this for a really long time. Back then, they called them booth babes.
Yes, they still do.
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't.
That's so terrible. So terrible.
But I mean, you're right. It really has changed even for me. I mean, as a magician, I have a little bit different banter with the people coming by. But we've used in the booths that I've worked, for crowd gatherers, we use guys and girls and old and young and everything. It really is, diversity kind of goes everywhere. But is there anything else that you kind of want to touch on as far as the diversity element goes? Is there some encouragement you might give to somebody?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think you touched on it too when you said, be authentic and be who you are, because your gift will make room for you. And I have noticed that it's okay to be tall, or it's okay to be short, and it's okay to be heavy or thin, or black or white or Indian or, Hispanic, whatever the case is. And even if you're smart, a lot of times some of the folks, especially at our trade shows, they're, some of the smartest people you'll come across in the world. And sometimes they underestimate the folks in the booth. They think their knowledge set is not comparable. So when they start having conversations and they're like, oh, wow, you seem like a really intelligent person. And sometimes you think like, wow, I didn't know this was a thing or a taboo. But it really was, and it really is. But I really respect some of the companies and the women I've worked with. There have been so many smart, brilliant, I'm talking about, scientists, you're talking about engineers, you're talking about even an attorney, even entrepreneurs that had said, hey, I know that I can do really well at being a corporate storyteller. And so I'm going to do that, whenever I have time and make some, take care of my family. And it's been really amazing.
I like that. You're the first one to say corporate storyteller. I like that title. That's a great title.
My LinkedIn. Check it out.
We've talked a little bit about that as far as titles go in the past. Like I said, many years ago, it was Booth Babes. I personally really like the word brand ambassador, but in our field, in the trade show field, the brand ambassadors are usually the folks doing liquor promotions, supermarket promotions.
Yeah.
What do you like to call yourself in the trade show field?
Yeah, I say I usually stick to what my strongest points, which is I'm a presenter, I'm a speaker. I will do whatever I need to do to make sure I take care of my family and I get a great, if it's a great opportunity. But I love the corporate storyteller. I say that. I utilize that. And a professional trade show executive.
That's perfect. That's perfect. The important thing is that the person that's hiring knows that this is what you do, and this is something that you take seriously, and that type of thing.
Definitely.
So we have a lot of listeners to the podcast that are brand new to this, and like I said, I kind of already asked you what you would tell yourself, but if I wanted to get started, let's talk. It's always a touchy one. How should I? Is there a dollar amount I should be aiming to make as a starting trade show, like a crowd gatherer or badge scanner?
Yes. A lot of times it all depends. There's a range, so it depends on what you're doing. So crowd gatherer, badge scanner, you're looking anywhere between, I'd say, I wouldn't go any lower than about 25. An hour.
25 an hour. But in trade shows, you get paid by the day, don't you?
You do get paid by the day, but you can still utilize the amount of hours that you're working and kind of work it off of that, because they do pay you by the day, but also the amount of hours in the day that you're working.
So starting at like $200 a day would be the right place.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, I wouldn't say that wouldn't be a terrible opportunity, especially for someone who's coming out the gate. I mean, really, where are you gonna? You're not going to go to a normal job and get paid, especially if you're just getting like a regular job. You're not really going to get paid that amount right out the gate. So,
now you have to remember, though.
I think it makes sense. I think that's a decent price point for a lot of people. My sister's a nurse, and they're in range with our industry. I mean, and she's a really great nurse. That's been in the industry for 16 years. So.
But you have to remember that you are an independent contractor, whether you're independently contracting directly with a company or if you're doing that with an agency, which means that you are in charge of your own taxes. They're not taken out of your check, right?
Exactly. So of course you're 1099. You're not W-2'd.
Okay.
Because that's what the independent contractor uses. And then on top of that, you have to think about whether it's 10 to 15%. What I do is every quarter, I allocate 10 to 15%, or even if it's per show, I allocate 10 to 15% and I put it off to say, okay, this is going to go towards my taxes.
This is something that early in my career got me in a lot of trouble. I had forgotten to do that, and then the April came around, and holy moly, I owed all this money and didn't have it.
Oh my goodness! And also save your receipts for everything.
Yes, you can write things off. What can you write off?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I write so much off. My traveling expenses, my flights, my rental cars, the meals that I have while I'm in route, anything that I've bought for the show, like my jackets and my shoes, my clothing, even makeup. Laundry soap that you buy to wash your products. For myself, I have a home office like you do as well. And as an entrepreneur, I also get a certain percentage off of my electric bill.
Yeah. So let me put in a little caveat here as we talk about this. Neither one of us are tax experts, The advice that we're kind of giving you here is just hearsay. It's not actual telling you what to do. You should hire a tax person to help you through some of this.
100. And I have a tax person.
Yeah, and it'll say they save more money than they cost. I know it sounds like it's an extravagant thing, but believe me,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's helped a lot.
Well, before we go, is there any other bits of information that you'd like to share with our audience? I mean, I know you've listened to a couple of the podcasts. You know, is there anything that you think would be important to them to hear?
Well, you know, I think I've heard a lot of your podcasts, but you don't take the time to really brag about yourself as much as I think that you should. You know, so I had a quick question for you.
Okay.
So now, when you jumped into the industry, you were very young. You were like probably 18, 17, 18.
Right.
Now, so you didn't start out as your own entrepreneur at that time. And were you a magician at that point? Or?
I have just this, you know, I have the entrepreneurial spirit. So yes, the way I did it, because back then, it's not like I could just go to agents and stuff. I was doing magic at restaurants, going table to table and saying, hey, would you like to see a card trick before your dinner arrives? And as I left every single table, I would leave my business card and I would say, by the way, here's my business card. I'm available for private parties and trade shows.
You're so smart.
I was a little bit of the, you know, you can't do it unless you say it kind of things. And I was saying where I wanted to go at every opportunity, saying, I'm available for trade shows. And until someone kind of took the hook, you know, that's how I got in. And when you're at a trade show, if you're doing a good job, if you're working really hard, if you are presentable, people will ask for your business card or how you know, and get connected. And there's a snowball effect that happens.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. Now, so the whole magician piece. So at what age did you realize that this was like your life's calling?
Oh, you know, every magician will tell you that they started when they were 7 years old. And it's true because I you know, that's when you get a magic kit and you get the bug that, hey, I can fool people. I know something other people don't, and they like me because I'm showing this to them. And you know, for the type A, for the show off, for the ham, it really feeds into that narcissism, I guess. so. Yeah, you know, you kind of get a feeling for that and you think, oh, this is what I want to do. But at the same time, I kind of knew that I wasn't going to be the TV magician, and I had the salesman elements in me. So trade shows is where I've always felt that I belonged. You know, it's where I'm uniquely shaped to be there. So it's a calling. It's a calling.
For sure. My last question, Scott.
All right. I like this. Is the first time everyone, now you're going to know who I am and why I started this podcast.
Well, this is good. It's about time. It is about time. No. So what about your family? Are you able to bamboozle them?
Yeah, you know what? All right. So if you're a poker player, there's something you have called a tell.
Okay.
And that is when you're trying to bluff, there are certain things that are characteristics that everyone has a tell. Everyone has a tell. If you're really good, your tell is very subtle. But, you know, the thing is that even with a subtle tell, if you understand, then you can figure out when people are bluffing. Unfortunately, my family knows my tell all too well.
So, yeah, there's no chance for you there, right?
No, you know, when I'm practicing something new, and also, here's the other part of it is that I need to know whether the trick will work. So I often show my family earlier in the process of rehearsal than I would ever show someone for pay.
Yeah.
So they get to see it when it isn't as strong.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't think they realize that I'm a good magician because they see the tell. Right. Yeah.
So part B of the question, anyone else getting an affinity towards this in the family? Tell? Yeah, no, like being a magician, like anyone of your kids?
Oh, yeah, my son is a member of the Magic Castle as a junior member.
Wow.
He's going to be 21 here coming up in just a couple months, so he'll be a regular member of the Magic Castle.
That's amazing.
And he is studying theater at Cal Poly.
Oh, my goodness.
So he's also studying engineering. So engineering and theater together. But just like me, I'm a geek and I'm a magician. So it makes sense.
Hey, it works. It works.
Well, thanks for asking a couple questions about me. You turned the tables on me. You got to start your own podcast now.
And you know what? I'm encouraged.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do it.
You can call me anytime if you need my help. You know, if you ever want me to just jump on and do something with you, I'd love it.
Guess what? I'm putting that down on paper right now.
Yeah. Utilize me. Hey.
Well, Sasha, thank you so much. Before we go, do you want people to follow you on Instagram or anything? Is there like a?
Sure. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I have on my Instagram, it's SLH Brands, BRANDS, SLH Brands. And yeah, so they can jump on Instagram and follow me. And it's also connected to my personal Instagram. So when they get to SLH Brands, they'll see my personal Instagram name. They can jump on and they'll find me. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So
well,
they can also find me.
It's always great to see the photos and the places that you're at and what this life and world is all about. So we will definitely be following you there. Thank you so much, Sasha, for your time.
Yes, thank you. It was so fun.
All right. Have a great day.
Have a great day. Bye.
We want to thank Sasha Higgins for taking the time to share with us some of her tips about trade shows and brand ambassadoring. My favorite tips there, WIIFM, what's in it for me? And then, you know, I'm kind of partial to sharing a little bit about what I do. That was fun to have the tables turned on me. Well, it's that time of the show where we get to do a face palm. A face palm is a story that usually is funny, something interesting to end the show with. But today's face palm is really an insight that can help you in your career. Channon Dade is going to talk to us about a lunchtime face palm.
Yes, I have a facepalm moment. So we have a client that we have been, they have used us for 7 years straight. Then they asked us to do their customer appreciation show, which was about maybe 5,000 attendees. And we had a huge staff of like 13 people, and they had breakout sessions and they had a front desk registration, and it was crazy busy in the morning. And then when the breakout sessions came, it was slowed down, and then they had lunch. Everybody went to lunch, and we still had a couple of people at the registration desk. So it was very slow. I went to lunch. I'm getting my dinner, and then I get a text from one of the ladies at the registration desk and says, "Very busy!" Exclamation. I go back, and Scott, it was twice as many people as there were during registration in the morning. And it was a madhouse. And I was like, oh my God, I wish I had known it was busy. But the client didn't even expect it to be this crazy during lunchtime. They expected everybody to be registered and to go to lunch. But they had a whole slew of customers come in, and it must have been maybe about 1,200 people there. In this environment, we had 2 people registering at the desk. So we immediately changed gears and we got people registered in. And the other lead, thank goodness I had another lead with me. She came from lunch, and we did as much as we could. And the talent that I had, as they came back from lunch, they came back early and they just jumped, which is great talent to have. They just jumped in and started helping out. So the moral of the story is, never assume it's going to be dead during lunchtime.
Well, I want to thank all of our guests today, Sasha Higgins, Channon Dade, and Alexis Baize, Philip Victor, Rick Gerber, Jenifer Canale, Robin Bell, and Larry Wyatt. All of you made the podcast that much more fun. Hey, remember, you can subscribe. And if you'll do me a favor, please leave a review of this podcast, because that's what keeps us going. If you're listening to us on Apple, or if you're listening to Spotify, or maybe you're listening to iHeartRadio, we're on every one of these platforms. Would you rate and review us? And remember to subscribe. That certainly helps. Until next week, I hope to see you out on the trade show floor.